Me and Blaine were talking earlier, Cone, about, when you're coaching, right? And this is at any level, really. I mean, not like little kids, like even middle school, but once you get to high school and higher, like when you have those early morning workouts, like especially for football, like, winter workouts. And, as a player, you remember you hated them because obviously you're running. And like, look, it's one of the reasons I didn't do cross country because I don't want to do conditioning. Everybody, when they show up to practice, what's the first question? What do we have to do for conditioning today? That's what everybody asks. Like that needs to be known before we can continue on as a player. But as a coach, when you go to these early morning workouts, a lot of it, the players used to be like, where do you get this energy from? Where do you get this energy from? Well, I get this energy from I need to yell at you that early in the morning to get me going.
A lot makes sense.
It's a lot less about you. Now, do you need to keep your foot behind the line? Yeah, you should. Is it going to help us in the long run? Probably. All right. Could I be nicer about it? For sure. Will I? No chance.
Yeah.
You're the same over there?
Yeah. I mean, it would shape in the rest of my day.
Yeah.
There's nothing like getting up at, 5:15 in the morning, getting a scoop of pre-workout, going there and yelling, getting the demons out, and yelling at kids for 45 minutes. Was the squat good? You went low enough. Am I going to tell you went low enough?
No.
No, I'm going to yell at you as loud as I can, all right, and tell you to go lower. You know why? So I'm making you better. And you also making me better.
Well, my rule is always from 5:30 to 7, you're going to hate me.
Yeah.
But from 7:01 on, you're going to love me. That's the way, it's the carrot and the stick. But from a me getting going level, I don't wake up, I'd have a cup of coffee, but at this point, coffee does nothing to me. It's just an action. There's no consequence for me drinking coffee. The caffeine doesn't work anymore.
Nothing?
It's getting swatted away by the immune system. I'm not taking pre-workout because I don't want to be shaking while I'm yelling, and I'm not not some psychotic person. But as I go into saying this, no, there's something about me ripping you for not keeping your foot behind the line at 5:45 in the morning.
The cleansing of the system.
Now, when I was in Montana and it was -10 outside, and I was like the kid from the Christmas Story walking into the gym to run you, that was pure anger.
Yeah, you're at survival mode to survive in that cold.
Yes.
Remember Men in Black when when Will Smith says, I could have sworn my 3rd grade teacher was an alien. Then they pop her picture up there. I'm having that moment right now because there were moments I could swear my coach was just yelling at me because he was going through something.
So,
that's literally 80% of the time.
Some coaches will deny it. Others know what's up. They'll tell you the truth. In the comments, if you've coached at all in your life, whether it's in the live chat, the Booster Club, the Daily Wire chat, or in the YouTube comments, let us know. Just a thumbs up. Just a thumbs up is all you got to throw in there. We don't, you're not going to be anonymous, but we know what you mean when you throw the thumbs up. But I'm glad that we were able to help you with that this morning, David.
Thank you.
Look, we're givers. Tom Luginbill joins us to discuss Colorado's hiring of Prime Time and much more. The Rams signed Baker Mayfield off waivers, and he may start this week. And our buddy Jimmy Dykes stops by to talk some college basketball. I'm Jake Crane. It's Hump Day, and this is Crane & Company. College athletes wanted in the business side of the sport, and they got it. They wanted to be able to move freely with no repercussion like the coaches do, and they got it. So when new coaches like Deion Sanders tell the players he inherited at Colorado that some new guys are coming in to probably take their spots, and if they want to go ahead and hit the portal, they need to do it, there should be no complaining or backlash. You want it in the business, now you're in it, and you have to take the good with the bad. It's a good life lesson for the players as well. Now, the players used to be at a disadvantage, and some would say they were taken advantage of. But now the playing field is even. It's easier than ever to leave as a player and harder than ever to create stability and build culture over time as a coach. Now, if coaches don't perform, they get fired. And in today's game, it happens faster than we've ever seen it. And while not every player is getting paid, not every player will have the opportunity or not every player will want to leave, Prime saying what he said in that team meeting 5 years ago would have been viewed as unfair and vitriolic. But in the era of NIL and the transfer portal, it's just business, baby. Will he win big at Colorado? I think it's a bridge job to another even bigger job. But to call the playing field unfair is unfair in itself. I'm going to bring in my co-host former Michigan quarterback, part-time superhero, and leader of 7 Foot Island.
Full-time, I just don't do it all the time.
No,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm there.
Part of the time,
At
you're
the ready.
full-time.
Great hindsight right there.
I'm at the ready.
Part of the time, you're full-time. My brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver, curator of the chat,
And owner of 7 Foot Island.
and vice,
No.
assistant to the manager
Assistant to
of 7 Footer Island.
Make
Blaine
stuff up.
Crane.
That's what you do. Make stuff up.
You're a founder, though. You're a
Guys,
founder.
I want to get into. You're on the board, Blaine.
I'm on it.
I want to get into whether Prime will win big at Colorado.
Okay.
I tend to think this is a gateway job.
a little bridge job.
Like you hear the term gateway drug. This is a gateway job to the top of the college football coaching tier from a brand resource traditional place like maybe a Florida State down the road. If it doesn't work out for Mike Norvell, or he takes another job, or maybe an Ohio State or somewhere like that. But with the way the business is now, with NIL and the transfer portal, I have no problem with a coach coming in there and saying, guys, look, here's the deal. I would much rather you be truthful to me than lie to me about the situation and just leave me hanging there not knowing to be a bobblehead quarterback.
I think most have done that anyway, right? Like the coaches you guys worked for. It is a different time now, and I find this is very interesting because it's such an exciting hire at the most interesting time that we've seen in college football. You made some great points in the open. To the point about big business, I think college football has always been big business, and when these coaches' jobs are on the line, you owe it to yourself and to your family and the other players who stay on the team and the new players who come in to do whatever is necessary to win football games. This is something that I always warned. I've been asked about pay for play and NIL for 15 years, ever since I was a player, right after I got done playing, and then as name, image, and likeness came about. And I said, be very careful, because the more and more you start to become an employee, the more and more opportunity a university is going to have to fire you. And we talked about the statistics yesterday of the kids who jump in the transfer portal, and we're looking at maybe 40%. 45, something like that, don't receive another offer on the other end of that. I think where things are going to get really interesting is if you have, say, an offensive lineman who's a junior, who's never made a penny off NIL, he's not got any sponsorships, no endorsements, nothing like that, a year away from graduating, isn't playing as well as he did as a freshman or as he was as a high school recruit. New coaching staff comes in, they don't really want the kid there anymore, forced into the portal essentially, and there's no spot for him on the other end to graduate. That's where we're really going to get into a conversation of, is this even college football anymore? Which is why I've sort of said, why don't we just make the USFL a minor league football system?
Well, I will say, though, and I know some of it is unofficial, but the 4-year scholarship there, the ability of a coach to go in there and just kick a guy that is on a full scholarship off of the scholarship without some nefarious reason, or to just say you have to go to the transfer portal and leave the football team, I don't think we're at that level yet. Will we get to that level?
We're knocking on the door.
We're knocking on the door. And I'm going to be honest with you, David. I'm going to be honest with you. Again, before the NIL stuff and the transfer portal freedom, that would be looked at as an unforgivable sin. But in the era we're in, if you're going to be on full scholarship and you're going to be able to make money, and like you said, not everybody will. If I'm coming in and it's my job to win games, that's what it's my job to, and to develop players off the field. But I'm not going to be able to develop players off the field if I'm not winning games, because my ass isn't going to be there coaching to develop them. So when it comes down to me putting food on my family's table, and I'm coming into a job and you've got an offensive lineman that is on scholarship that's eating a spot, and I have to try and make a move to get us a better player in there, I'm going to do everything in my power to get him set up to go to another place that would accept him in the scholarship like that. But at the end of the day, now that you're in the business, welcome to it. And I think it's great for the young people. I think it is. People will look at it as a negative for the young people. I think it's great for you. You're about to learn about business. You wanted it. You wanted it. You wanted to get in here. You wanted to be able to get paid and things like that outside of a scholarship. Okay, you're about to learn how the business world works, because you can't on one hand sit here and say, oh, well, this is all about just the person, has nothing to do with football. Oh, here's this full scholarship. Here's $100,000 from Goodyear Tires, but it's really not that important. You got to take the good with the bad in the situation. I think it could be a lesson for young people that if you're going to operate in the jungle, you better learn how to become a lion a little bit.
Blaine, one last point on Deion specifically. I don't think most people who saw the video of Deion Sanders, his first, his introduction at Colorado there, took issue with this, what we're talking about saying, hey, hop in the portal. Or at least not for me, what it was the way that he was saying this to players. Like, I already have guaranteed spots. I know who's going to start. I haven't even met you or evaluated you, but my son's going to play quarterback. I think more people had issue with that than coming in and saying, oh, he wants to, clean out a team that just went 1-11 and wants to win. And if you're not on board with that, you're soft. I wasn't getting a sense from that from people who
No. I'm talking about from a more like holistic societal perspective. My thoughts on the way he did it was, look, there's two ways you can look at this. All right, you can look at that and be like, man, that was maybe the wrong way to handle it. Maybe wasn't the right words or the right way to go about it. Is that something that needs to be a private conversation between you and the individuals that are there? Yeah, you can make that case. But I tell you, in the long run, I'd rather have somebody that came in there and that was honest with me, like we were saying yesterday, than somebody that would come in and be like, hey, yeah, Blaine, come in here and sit down. Come here and sit down. You're going to have a great chance to start. If I was you, I wouldn't leave and then go to a coach's meeting and be like, hey, look, we know Blaine's not going to start, but just in case Jeff gets hurt, we've got to keep Blaine here and dangle the string around him. So I think there's multiple ways to look at it. The way you go about it, I think, is what
I played for both types. I played for both types of those coaches.
Well, you wanted to go in there and breed competition, obviously. I wouldn't go in there and secure a spot for any player that I really don't know who's not on my roster, and I haven't seen these guys go. So I didn't like that from Deion. So you really don't know what you have until you see it player-wise. I mean, I'm sure you watch film and the guys you already have. But there's levels to it, and I think Deion wants to go in there and to make sure that he's 100% open with these guys. And one thing as a player, that's one thing I liked. I want to know what you're thinking, exactly what you're feeling. I don't want coach talk, coach speak, or beating around the bush for anything. Tell me exactly what it is that need to get done. Tell me what you need from me, and if I don't deliver that, then you can push me off to the portal, whatever it is. But you don't go in there securing spots for guys who had from another school who really haven't came in there and earned it, in my opinion. Those kids matter at Colorado, and those kids deserve to get seen a chance on the field.
Yeah, well, look, I know the kids at Colorado matter. Here's my thing. I get what you're saying. You want to build competition, but I want to build competition with my guys. I want to build competition with the guys that I brought in there. If there's some guys that have a losing mentality that we've seen at Colorado that are there, I think he's going in there sending a message. I want to breed competition with my guys.
Those are his guys.
Yeah, those are his guys.
Listen, let me finish. No, those aren't his guys. He's going to get
rid
You're the head of some of those players.
Yeah, those are your players.
Those are your guys, man. Just because you didn't recruit them, that's the point of coming in.
No. Those again. We can say that. That's great to say. That's nice to say. That's nice to put on a pillow. That's nice to quilt into a blanket and keep at your house. He is going to bring in his guys. There are some from Colorado that are going to stay there, and those are going to be his guys. Every coach comes in and trim the fat. I didn't hear anybody complaining when Nick Saban came in there and was cutting people left and right.
Those were
professionals.
He fired staff.
No. I'm talking about at Alabama. He processed more players at Alabama when he took over that job that were hurt or that weren't playing well. This isn't a new phenomenon. But I don't think we can treat the transfer portal like we can treat high school recruiting because it is a proven commodity. I know I'm not getting Jordan Addison to leave Pitt to go to USC if he is not starting. There is a certain level that we have to approach. Free agency, you sign free agents in the NFL to play. It's like signing JUCO players in recruiting. You don't sign JUCO players to sit the bench. You are bringing in transfers into play. So if I know that Jordan Addison is coming over here, best believe everybody in that wide receiver room is going to know, and I have to tell him that to be able to bring him over there. Plus, you're paying these kids NIL on top of it. And you remember when USC had that problem during the summer of not giving Jordan Addison his NIL money when they guaranteed that and stuff like that?
Well, that's what I'm saying is like these colleges aren't supposed to be paying the NIL money. We keep coming back to the same conversation
they're allowed
over again.
They're allowed to.
Okay,
you have to embrace
in some cases.
I don't like it as much as you do. I don't think
it's not about liking
portal.
it or whatever. There's no standard because you're saying that these schools are now paying players NIL money. Some are. But some of them aren't, and some of them are going straight directly with the brands. We had Bruce Scala on here from Hooters who was saying, well, every school's different. With Miami, we have to pay
Which that's NIL. I want that, David.
I know, but that's a relationship directly with Hooters and the offensive line.
Yes.
One school's involved between that, and another school's not involved between that. So every school right now is a different situation.
Every school is in a different situation, but every school was in a different situation before we even started NIL. Like, everybody's not on the same playing field. That doesn't exist. Players have been getting paid, you know this, forever. It's been behind the table, under the table. Guys were getting more than other guys.
Where was mine?
Yeah, I'm
Where
with
is
you.
mine?
I'm with you.
I didn't get any.
I'm with you.
That McDonald's
I'm with
bag,
you.
I just threw it out.
Yeah,
I
Chick-fil-A
thought it
bag.
was old
Well, that
hash
McDonald's
browns.
bag just had McDonald's in it.
Yeah, that's right.
No money, it's just McDonald's.
And I was thankful for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get to the Booster Club, look, college basketball's ripping and roaring. We still got the bowl season, got the college football playoff, NBA, NHL, all type of stuff. And if you want to bet, just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. But make sure you use our code BOOSTER, that's BOOSTER, because if you place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game, you get $150 in free bets if they do. Now, that's only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOSTER. That's BOOSTER. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Guys did a little same-game parlay, Iowa-Duke last night. Won a little change. Nothing drastic, nothing big. I've really dived into the same-game parlays. I love the fast and easy payouts. Again, look, every time that Reed hits a huge parlay or I hit one, which Reed's won us about $2,500 past 3 out of the last 4 weeks.
That's a mortgage
it comes
right
first
there,
class
buddy.
mail. First class mail. I less than a week typically. Go in there, see it, deposit that check, go out there and bread it up. The Christmas presents really got upgraded this year. Really got upgraded because of her dominance.
What'd you get her?
In the parlay game? You want me to tell you one thing I'm getting her on here? I'll tell her.
No,
I'll invite you. I
dude.
know she listens.
Don't ruin it.
So I'm getting her like a full like massage, pedicure, manicure day.
Eddie Manny?
Like where you just go out and they people just putting stuff on you, making you feel all good.
Are you picking the colors? What colors
Of
you
what?
want? The nails?
No, I'm letting her do that. What I look like, Caleb?
That's the
Williams?
same
Look like
thing.
Caleb
He's gonna
Williams
ask
to
you.
The same thing
Well, I
I
look
got.
like Caleb Williams to you?
That is not even the same realm.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Unless you're gonna get your nails
Did y'all see the Rufino and Lindale White? And
Oh, it's
Caleb
beautiful.
Williams beef yesterday?
You got in
I
that,
involved
right?
myself in accidentally.
Yeah.
Blake Rufino, our boy at LSU, he's going back and forth with Lindale White, saying I would never vote for Caleb Williams for Heisman for what he painted on his nails in the conference championship. Lindale White was like, "Well, I'm voting for him. I don't care."
Yeah.
And
not surprising.
Rufino said something about this is a get off my lawn movement. I had to jump in. I said, Rufino, welcome aboard the Get Off My Lawn movement. And then Lindale White quote tweeted that and said, this S is soft.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I said, Lindale, this is a movement. Let that man vent.
Yeah.
Let that man vent, okay?
Look, sometimes you
the
got to tell
same
people to
thing.
get off your lawn.
Sometimes you need to.
Today.
I'm like, Lindale, I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
Loved
look
watching
good. I
he
enjoy
runs the
watching
football.
You talk about True Thunder and Lightning.
Woo.
But all right, make sure you use that promo code BOOSTER at DraftKings. Blaine, what's going on in the Booster Club?
Yeah, I'm making a poll right now, but we do have some donations in here.
Read them now.
So let's go ahead and get it started. All right, Jimbo Eagle with a $20 donut.
Jimbo,
appreciate you, brother. He says, question for David Michigan.
where is he?
Do you have a cape and a
Take
mask
the
you want to
cape
put
off,
on?
dog.
Yeah, we need to get you
Take
a cape
the
out here.
cape off.
With Blake Corum being out for the remainder of the season, what game plan adjustments do you foresee the Wolverines making on the offensive side of the ball come time for the college football playoff?
Donovan Edwards going to have to
Not
tote
much
it a lot.
adjusting, yeah.
Donovan Edwards, because we've seen on the third and fourth string running backs there's a fall off there for sure.
Yeah.
In a way that some of the other teams, OSU specifically was running with their third string running back for a lot of the season, having a lot of success. Donovan Edwards, I said this against the Buckeyes and in the conference championship. He's going to have to do more than just be a pass catcher and be the second team running back. He's going to have to be, Jake just said it, Thunder and Lightning. He has to be both in the same package, whereas it was a nice compliment before with Blake Corum. I think he can do that. We're near the end of the season. He did it in the biggest game against his rival. He was able to do it in the conference championship. They're 13-0. Now go handle your business against TCU.
Yeah, one of the positives and a silver lining when you try and look at it is he does have experience now playing that position in big games. And it's not just like you said about the pass catching. It's about finishing runs because Blake Corum, the best part about Blake Corum was not the 60-yard run. It was not the home run. It was turning plays that should be stopped at the line of scrimmage into 5-yard gains. It's getting tackled at 2 yards past the line of scrimmage, making a guy or breaking one tackle and getting 4 yards and getting J.J. McCarthy in a second 6. He helped. Blake Corum was as responsible for J.J. McCarthy's success throughout the year and him upgrading himself after every game than anybody because Michigan typically was able to stay on schedule. And now that Donovan Edwards had to fill in for Blake, obviously in the Ohio State game when he went out at a big moment, was able to do it. Not only that, they thrived at the end. He was able to come in a big spot in the conference championship game against Purdue when that game was still tight, make a couple runs late. Pass pro, is the biggest deal with him. Not just all play action where you're picking up that block to allow J.J. McCarthy to scramble, whether that's inside the pocket or outside the pocket. That's going to be big going down the stretch, especially against a team like Georgia.
Donovan never gets better as the game goes.
Yeah, he does.
Especially you go back to the Purdue game, the start of the second half. I mean, he busts off 2 30-plus yards run, and he just gets heavier and heavier, and defenses has to make decisions whether you want to tackle this guy the whole game. So I don't think it's a huge drop-off.
There's one other back on the roster that's really impressive right now. I can't remember his name. I think he's the one who threw the pop pass. It's not the C.J. Stokes kid. It's the other one. But look, we're going to need
Huggins. He was a middle, not Huggins. He was a middle linebacker.
Yes.
And he moved to running back. It's like Muggins or Huggins or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking about. He runs heavy.
Muggins. He runs heavy.
Yeah.
So, and you saw him spell Donovan Edwards in the conference championship, which was great to see because he is running heavy. I don't know. I haven't seen a large enough sample size to know in a playoff game how many carries, how many touches he's going to get. But I think, Donovan Edwards needs to carry that load for 2 games.
Yeah.
We'll handle the first one first.
And it'll be good for Dom to get his hand healthy as well because he's clubbed up that hand. That's
216 against OSU with a cast on.
Yeah,
Boys.
that's tough. Let's go to Stephen Weeks, $5 donation. Said, how hard would it be if Deion takes over Bama after Saban? And could you imagine the Aflac commercial?
How hard would it be? I mean, look, you'd have it's funny because I'm like, how could Alabama get even better players than what they already get? Prime would probably be able to do it by a little bit. Now, look, what makes Nick Saban great isn't just the recruiting part. We know he can get the great players in there. We're going to find out with Deion Sanders. Can he do this stuff on the periphery at the highest level like he will in recruiting? Can he match the players that are there with the structure and the organization and the program efficiency that you have to have in today's game to be able to compete at the Power 5 level? Look, getting players we know is the most important part. You cannot bake the cake without the ingredients. But there's a lot of chefs out there that have the same type of ingredients that can't bake the cake as good as the best do. That's what we're going to find out about Deion Sanders. You do that with the staff you hired. I think he's done a really good job of putting guys around him that understand what's going on. I mean, you have head coaches leaving positions to be coordinators. Sean Lewis, that was a smart move from Kent State. We're going to find out from a holistic perspective, can Deion Sanders, at a place that hasn't had a lot of success lately, but we know you can win there at Colorado in a conference that is losing right now, USC and UCLA for the time being, but as our buddy Tim Brando said, hell, Colorado may be in the Big 12 for this.
They may be moving to the Big 12, and we didn't answer the question whether he will win there. What's your prediction here before he takes another job?
I think this first season, there's gonna be some feeling out. Feels like maybe 7-5, something like that. First year,
that's a new job.
If he goes 7-5, he won't coach there a second year.
Look, I'm just telling you. I think there's a chance with the players that they have that they'll go bowling. Let's put it that way. Whether that's 5-7 and you get in on a technicality like we've seen.
A Chuck Norris ruling?
A Chuck Norris ruling.
Situation?
Look, it's a bylaw. 6-6 or maybe 7-5. With that schedule, it's going to be tough, especially the back end of that schedule is absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
It's J-Lo back end.
I think it's realistic to say that Deion Sanders could win 10 to 12 games in 2 seasons at Colorado.
I think that's a possibility.
Games. And what Mel Tucker went 5-7 in 1 year at Colorado and got the Michigan State job. If he can do that, I don't know if Deion Sanders even needs to win games to be able to get his next job.
To me, this is his bridge to Terabithia.
Because I think other schools are going to see, even if he goes in and wins 2 games, he's going to say, well, I did better than the one win season they had before. And they're going to see, another school is going to see all the players that flock from the portal to Deion Sanders to play for him. And another school is going to give him an opportunity regardless. But I still think
Did you see who was in the running to get the job at Jackson State?
No.
Cam Newton.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Cam Newton.
Yeah.
That'd be good for Cam.
Well, see, the funny part is that I got asked on the radio yesterday, do you think you're going to see more teams hiring these celebrity former players that don't have a ton of coaching experience and stuff like that? Which, by the way, it's amazing. I hear, all these people talk trash, and I know it's the NFL compared to college, but I hear all these people talk trash about Jeff Saturday for not having a ton of coaching experience, yet Deion doesn't have a ton of coaching experience, but it's fine for him to get a major Power 5 job, and then it's fine for Trent Dilfer, who's never coached in college, to get the UAB job. I don't hear anybody complaining about that. I guess it's just an NFL thing. But
or an O-lineman
doesn't fit the narrative.
An O-lineman thing. Yeah, let's get some O-lineman love.
Conform to the narrative, man.
It's amazing. No, somebody asked me yesterday, will you see more, high-profile, maybe celebrities start to get jobs? Look, it's based on the individual. Like, there isn't like a blanket group of people that are like, all right, these guys are good at coaching. These guys are probably not going to be good at coaching. It depends on the individual. We've seen people that are great CEOs that don't have a ton of experience in the business world for 30 years. We've seen people that aren't politicians go and take over politics that don't have a ton of experience. Sometimes in certain jobs and situations, not in all, experience, while it's a major factor, isn't the X factor. You have to have the X factor to be a successful coach. You have to be able to juggle many things. And that depends on the individual. Some people that are former players, like a Deion Sanders, may be great at coaching. This may be fantastic. Others may not. It depends on the individual. It's not just the journey, it's what's within the person. I think we lose sight of that sometimes and think that, oh, well, just because if that was the case, then Tom Herman would be an unbelievable coach right now. If going just by the book was how it was supposed to be. Sometimes the best path taken is the one that's not beaten. And it depends on the individual. We don't need to generalize everything saying, oh, well, just because you don't have this much experience, you're going to be a horrible coach. Or because you have a ton of experience, you're going to be an excellent coach. While there are factors you look at, you got to check the Carfax on people. That's not what I'm saying. But it's about the individual and the type person.
And about the program.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a marriage, right? So the person's only one half of the equation. The Colts needed something specific in that situation. Jim Irsay made a call. Jackson State needs something specific. I mean, I'd love to see Cam.
Cam, why don't you get some pads on? Let's find out.
Cam, come on the show, buddy. Let's go.
I think Deion can win 8 games next year.
Win 8 games with Colorado
I think he
schedule?
can win 8 games. With the way you can flip a program right now, with the amount of people who are already trying to go to Colorado, it's going to be ridiculous. So 5-star, as 5-star Trey Sanders, he's going to have guys walking around there that can win games and win them now. Right when he gets there, his son's going to come. I mean, he's going to have guys good enough to win 8 games. I can see it in the Pac-12 for sure.
Okay, let's go to 5 big questions.
All right, Jackson Smith and Jigba. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. OSU wide receiver is not going to play in the college football playoff. But, boys, he's been hurt most of the season.
Yeah, I think we need to make a distinction here. And I'm going to talk about both sides of this. Number one, he has been hurt. I got told by a birdie maybe he's really not that hurt. But I am going to take him at his word, and I'm going to take what Brett McMurphy and some of these other guys have reported. He's been trying to rehab, and the doctor said it's just something he doesn't need to do. In that case, I totally get it. This isn't an opt-out to me. This isn't a I'm not going to play situation. This isn't a we're playing in the tic-tac-toe bowl, and I've got a chance to go in the second round. I'm not playing. If you are hurt, I understand not playing. Now, if you aren't hurt, if this was, let's play the hypothetical of JNS wasn't hurt and is going to be a top pick, or maybe he's been hurt in the past and he's fine now, but he doesn't want to risk it. That's BS when you're playing for a championship. I understand if you're playing in a bowl game that's not for a championship. I get that. To each his own. I understand that. I understand the backgrounds that some of these guys come from, that they're the only hope for maybe their family and generations to come to be able to make life-changing and family-changing money. I get that. But when it comes down to championship time and you're there with your brothers, there is no opt-out. There's a certain word they make for people that are like that I'm not going to say on the show, but it starts with a B if you do that, in my opinion. But this isn't that situation.
Played in 3 games. He played in the opener against Notre Dame. He played against Toledo. He played against Iowa. Had 43 yards receiving on the year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard. He's got to be hurt, right?
Yeah, he's got to. Look,
we're not doctors. Like, we're not in that room with them.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think this guy's a competitor for sure.
He had like 250 yards receiving in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, like this guy's a competitor for sure. I mean, if you're hurt, then you're hurt, man. We got to get on with the guys that are here and go win a game. He's going to be fine. He's going to be a first-round pick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, another one.
Yeah.
Another one.
Surprised.
Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, add him to the list.
They're pretty good at the whole receiver thing.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield, claimed off waivers by the Rams. Is he going to start?
I was wondering if it was going to be Rams or 49ers. I was wondering how the 49ers were feeling about Brock. Let's get dirty, Purdy, Mr.
Relevant.
Mr. Relevant now.
Yeah. Mr. Super Relevant.
Yeah, Mr. Super Relevant.
Mr. Starter.
Look,
just call me Starter now.
They said he's going to play, a chance to play Thursday.
Wait, the Rams?
Yeah, they said there's a chance Baker's going to start Thursday.
And I'm going to tell you,
that's
Jimmy G's
tomorrow.
foot's not broken.
Jimmy G's foot, they said Jimmy G may be able to return during the postseason, by the way. That broke yesterday.
That's huge.
But guys, Baker Mayfield to the Rams. I know they're probably too far gone right now, even though you look at the division. It's a little bit interesting. God, I'm still going to take this under on Thursday. Baker, you got to learn the playbook.
I'm pulling it up.
Yeah,
now.
I think the Raiders. Is it the Raiders? Look, you got to learn that playbook in like 2 days. Nah, man.
They're
A lot of
the Raiders.
checkdowns.
They're playing the Raiders at home.
Got to be a lot of checkdowns.
A lot of checkdowns. Picked up Tyler Higbee this weekend.
Yeah,
don't
don't
a lot
do
of
that.
checkdowns at Higbee, maybe some screens. Baylor will fit well. I mean, Baker will fit well in this offense.
But he's got to have
play action, boot. This is slinging around a little bit. You got some guys out there playing receiver.
I need Chandler Jones just to freak out on the defensive end.
Man, Rams have
You have the Ravens
lost.
defense?
Huh?
You have the Raiders
no,
defense?
but you have Higbee.
Yeah. So Chandler Jones don't play well. But good for Baker. Baker's good enough to be a starter in the league. It's the truth. I know you all might hate it, but he's good enough to be a starter in the league.
I hope so. I think he's clearly been humbled throughout this process. And his exit at the Panthers, I think you saw his maturity more now. Like before, I think we would have seen a different Baker Mayfield.
You would have saw the headline.
You would have seen, yeah.
See, like part of me really agrees with that. But part of me also realizes that Best Baker is chip on his shoulder, trash talking Baker, the walk on. Like that's to me is the Best Baker. That's how he built his whole brand. He was the Stetson Bennett before Stetson Bennett. But
if you're gonna do that, you got to be the guy.
No, well, look,
you got to be Floyd Mayweather.
That's his persona. But now you can feed off that. Look, the Browns didn't want me. All right, the Panthers didn't want me. They're playing guys we never heard of. The Rams, chance to turn it around. Matt Stafford getting old. Maybe I can ingratiate myself. Bad boy Baker, bandana wearing Baker. Planting the flag in midfield, Baker.
I get what you're saying, but I think you can be a bad boy on the field, but I think it's refreshing to see Baker not be a bad boy and like trashing an organization.
Boom. I like that. That's a good way to put it.
I'm not saying he needs to go out there and say the Rams are a trash organization.
Not the Rams, but
and I'm here. I'm coming.
Yeah, I'm
coming.
That's what I'm saying.
I just want to see Baker get up there and say to all the Rams and to Stafford and to Cooper Kupp and all them, look, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm bringing my own luggage with me.
Yeah.
All right, it's Louis. And Matt, you might not have a job anymore, bro.
Yeah. It's like, Matt, I heard that elbow sucks now. That's unfortunate.
Poor guy.
Oh, man. All right. Rams lost 8-9, but they have the Raiders, Packers, Denver, and Chargers.
Watch out for the Packers now, man.
Yeah, the Packers are always sneaky with Aaron Rodgers, but I just got to know what the health is on Aaron Donald. Like, because I know I don't know how long he's out, but the longer he's out, the less I believe in the Rams. Because that guy, like, there's guys who are good and there's guys who are great. That guy's something different made in a lab. He warms up with knives before the game. That's the scariest thing.
I'm convinced now that Aaron Donald escaped from a lab that was doing gain-of-function research.
Yeah.
All right, we'll roll through these here quickly. The Titans part ways with GM John Robinson.
Needed to happen. Now do it with Ryan Tannehill. You're almost there. You're almost there. Now get rid of Ryan Tannehill. Just get rid of Ryan Tannehill. Look, we appreciate, what does Fall Out Boy say? Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so good.
Great
Let's
song.
go ahead and get rid of Ryan Tannehill. John Robinson.
God, that suit's hideous.
Appreciate you. Yeah, but get a guy in there that wears better suits. Maybe that has a note in his pocket. Vontae Mack, no matter what.
I know 3 guys you could call right now who could fix your organization.
Yes, we're right down the street.
We're sitting right down the street.
We shot our intro video inside your stadium.
We'll fix it.
We'll do it. Let us
fix
GM it. Let us just, the first GM Hydra, the 3-headed monster, 3 minds, making one, Power Rangers, Giant Shines, help us God.
Man, I mean, this guy, no losing seasons. He did draft Derrick Henry. I get the point on
how many
Ryan
Super Bowls you win?
No Super Bowls.
Okay, then next guy.
I don't think you should get a lot of kudos at draft.
Robinson helped the Titans lead them to a winning record in all 6+ of his seasons in charge. In that time, Robinson became the second winningest general manager in franchise history with 69 wins.
Well, look, that's great, but we're over here trying to win something important, man. And I got Derrick Henry on my fantasy team, and everybody's loading the box because Ryan Tannehill's a walking trash can. All right, I'll say it. I'll say it. Sure, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Sure, Ryan's a good guy. There's not a bad player in the NFL, let's put it that way. But when it comes down to quarterbacks in the league, Ryan Tannehill is somewhere between 29 and 32.
Well, I know the grass isn't always green on the other side, but there's certain wins aren't built the same, and you have to beat certain teams to get certain wins. You get fired in the SEC, you could lose 2 games if you keep losing. Ryan Day might be on the hot seat, David, because he can't beat Michigan.
And we're good with
That's it. He'll win the rest of his games, and he'll be on the hot seat because he can't beat one team.
It can always get worse. That's what I'm just saying. I
the grass
lived
isn't
through it.
always
It can always
greener.
get worse.
Yeah.
All right. Aaron Judge
Yes.
still hasn't signed. What's going to happen here with Aaron Judge?
John Heyman reported he was signed with the Giants yesterday.
Wrong.
Immediately came out, was like, sorry, I jumped the gun. Be like, dog, you need to calm down.
Been there.
Like, you need to calm down.
Lane
Like, Aaron
Kiffin
Judge-
over
I've been there.
Let's not. Why are we playing games? Aaron Judge is going back to the Yankees.
Will you say that again?
Steinbrenner.
Can you say it slower?
Whenever Cashman comes out and says Steinbrenner's going to put his money where his mouth is, look, they're going to give this guy half the Big Apple. He's going to be a Yankee for life. This is just a dramatic effect, Telemundo situation. Let's just get him signing for the Yankees with a 35-year deal worth $800 billion.
To start playing better in the postseason, man.
He's going to Dr. Evil.
Oh, they're about to snip that.
The snippet, I don't
Snip
care.
that.
I'm still waiting on an
Every
Every
applause.
time I think
I'm
of Aaron
still waiting
Judge
on it.
and this whole situation, I think about on Austin Powers when Dr. Evil, when he's like, all I asked for is I wanted frickin' sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their frickin' heads. And then he's like, number two's like, well, we did get you sea bass. And he's like, are they angry?
Are they angry?
He's like,
Hold on.
yes, they're mutated sea bass. They're mutated sea bass. He's like, okay. Like, let's get this done. Aaron Judge is going back to the Yankees. We all know it. Just stop wasting everybody's time.
All right, last one. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying come home, stay home.
Trey Young. You guys were saying he was a no-show at one of the home games.
Yeah, there was this kind of it's the NBA regular season, so we got to find something to talk about with it. Trey Young had a sore shoulder, didn't come to the Nuggets game, a game in which they won, and apparently, according to reports, there was beef between Nate McMillan and Trey Young about Trey Young not coming to the game. And here's what I'll say, okay? Y'all know me. I'm all about the team, okay? There's a way we do things, but it's the NBA regular season, and we can play a game of who's more important to the Hawks, Trey Young or Nate McMillan. And I can tell you which way this is going to go. If there's one person that you know is about the team, Trey Young's never had problems before. Trey Young plays his guts out. He's literally 4'8" out there running around like Peter Dinklage running around a bunch of dinosaurs out there making plays left and right, just splashing it from everywhere. I mean, it's Surfside Water Park out there when he's out there. Nate McMillan, I would be careful who I pick fights with because it's when it comes down to the owners and players like Trey Young. What did the girl say off Wedding Crashers? I find you.
Yeah, Trey's one of those guys, when he's healthy, you just have to make sure you get him to the arena.
Yeah.
Right? Just get him to the arena, let him do his thing.
Let Fifo
NBA.
get west.
How much do you really coach in the NBA? What do you really do?
Yeah. Let's be honest.
Other than just keeping amount of minutes someone is playing, what do you really do?
Being an NBA coach, if you really just don't have a young team with a lot of young players that are new and don't know better, aren't you really just a babysitter that knows a lot about basketball?
So y'all think the Miami Heat would have won that championships without Eric Spoelstra?
You think Eric Spoelstra?
Without Eric Spoelstra.
You think Eric
y'all
Spoelstra
really
like,
think?
hey, LeBron, Dwayne, Chris, come over here. God, you guys are clueless. Here's what we're going to do.
Y'all really think?
Yeah. It'd be a lot of, what do y'all think? What if you were in this position, what would you?
You know why I think Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich and all those guys had so much success? And I know Phil coached back in the day. It was a little bit different back in the NBA. I'm talking about today's NBA. Is they were great at managing egos. But getting respect when it's a fine balance that you walk between in that league being overbearing to where they tune you out or being too weak to where they tune you out. They have to feel like you love them and you have to know them, but managing all those egos together as one, I think, is the biggest attribute that an NBA coach can have. Not going up there and designing an inbounds pass. But let's be honest. Look at a huddle. Look at a timeout during the NBA. There's a lot of times, you know when they do the mic'd up on TNT? What is the coach saying? He's like, come on, guys. Hey, we're doing a great job. You don't look fat, Dennis.
Yeah.
You don't look fat at all. Like, they'll cut across. But they're not like, all right, guys, hey, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run a backside screen.
Like college.
LeBron, shut up. LeBron, shut up. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run this. No, they're like, guys, keep fighting out there. Keep fighting out there. I love the competition out there. Keep fighting.
The only critique I ever hear in a coaching huddle in the NBA is, hey, we got to get back on defense quicker. We got to get back on defense quicker. That's the only thing I ever hear.
It's like, for the love of God, get back on defense.
That's it.
All right, let's go to the Booster Club.
Booster Club, all right, Trey Bodenheimer.
Nice.
With a $5 donation. Appreciate it, Trey. It said #TrustTree. That's what we're in right
here.
now. So I'm so tired of hearing the college football committee's job is to get the 4 most deserving teams in. Their job is to get the 4 best teams in.
Okay, so let's look at this. Let's look at this from a certain standpoint. Kansas State's got 3 losses, right? Would you say Kansas State's one of the top 5 teams in the country right now?
One of the top 5 teams?
Yeah.
I would say no.
Would you say that
Top 10, though.
Would you say that Kansas State just beat TCU on a neutral site and they're a better team than TCU? Would you say Kansas State's a better team than TCU?
That day, yeah.
Okay, so you're going to put a 3-loss Kansas State team over a 1-loss TCU team. I'm talking about Trey here. You got to look at the whole body of work of the season. Like if we're going to say that, then losses don't matter. Then let's just look at Vegas. Have Vegas pick the Final 4 teams, and the regular season won't matter.
The winners.
And the winners.
We don't need to play
Michigan's a 7-point underdog to Georgia right now if they were to play. Let's just give Georgia the national championship. Let's not play it. You can't. That's like looking at in college basketball, giving a number 1 seed to a team that has 10 losses because they're playing better than anybody at the end of the. That's not how it works. Like, to me, best and deserving, you can be commingled in most situations. Now there's some where I think there's a little bit of a gap or you're splitting hairs a little bit there. But if that's the case, then losses don't matter. Then losses don't matter. That if let's say you're Alabama, let's say Bryce Young would have got hurt in the first game and you'd have lost 5 games, but Bryce Young played the last 3 and looked amazing, then just put him in. Just put him in. Regular season doesn't matter. We can't look at it like that.
I agree. Let's go to Andy J with a $5
Expansion will help
Appreciate
that,
it, Andy.
No, expansion will help for sure. No doubt.
Does the portal kill high school recruiting? Why take a high school kid when you can take a sure thing from another school and go Vols?
Look, the answer is somewhere in the middle here. It's not going to kill it, but there's going to be spots when we saw this. We've seen this already with the transfer portal where high school players don't get spots because transfers take it. That's part of the deal. It's where it is now. It does reduce the amount of openings for high school players. You've seen high school coaches complain about that since this started. But again, I will say this. It's a good mix, just like in recruiting before this, when it was nice to have a mix of high school players, maybe a grad transfer, a couple JUCO guys, something like that. You don't want to overload your team consistently every year with transfers and try and build the ship out of it. The transfer portal is meant to plug up holes in the boat. It's not meant to build the whole boat out of. I think that's something we got to remember. And remember this. It's kind of similar, I think, a little bit to what we've seen in college with one and dones, right? And how many teams have won national championships off one and dones? When's the last time Duke won one? When's the last time Kentucky won one? Like a lot of these teams
Look at the NBA.
that have one and dones don't win the NCAA tournament. That is not. It can help you win. It is not the cheat code for long-term success. Okay, it's just like it's trying to have some short fix for a big problem. It's like trying to fix the economy. You can't fix the economy overnight. It's a lot of small decisions, a lot of small good decisions that lead to big outcomes that are net positive.
And as far as fewer spots on college football teams, we saw our buddy Jim Nagy, who runs the Senior Bowl, tweet yesterday. There's already over $5 million in NIL money, and a lot of those guys are going to stay in college rather than go to the NFL. That can be a good thing, too. When you see someone like Michael Penix Jr. coming back, or on the basketball side of it, Oscar Tshiebwe coming back to Kentucky. So that's going to create fewer spots for high school kids, but that part is not necessarily bad for the game.
Yeah, no, I think we can separate the two. It may take away spots and also be good for
I was going to say this, and I was wondering about this. Do you think 3 years is too long for a college football player to have to go to college to go to the NFL?
Let's not go to college. It's technically just be removed from high school, which I know is a technicality, but to the point, if you see USFL and the XFL start to offer them $100,000, like the G League.
I would be fine with 2 years.
I think 2 years would be okay.
You think there's?
I think Marvin Harrison Jr. could go start in the NFL right now.
2 years. 2 years. I think your body can be ready enough, because the question is not athletic ability sometimes. That Jadeveon Clowney could have gone to the NFL and it would have taken him a little bit of time coming out of high school, and I think he would have been fine. There's some guys that can do it. But for 99%, your body has to, because again, the level between the NFL and even the highest level of college football is very big, talent gap-wise. The worst team in the NFL would beat Georgia to death.
I say no years, though. I say no years. If Maurice Clarett wants to go play in the NFL, remember the whole Maurice Clarett situation?
It's going to be like the towel boy when Michigan tries it on the water.
That's the free market. Let him go play.
Okay.
If a team will sign him, okay, and he's good enough or not good enough to play, hey,
capitalism.
We gonna find out.
Yeah.
We gonna find out on the ground.
Find out. Well, when they're picking up pieces of them like Mr. Potato Head, maybe they'll change that rule. All right, but are you feeling less like your old self these days?
I swear.
Sometimes.
I know, guys. Blaine, let it out. If you're feeling less like your old self, you don't have the energy you used to or the body, maybe you're looking in the mirror, you want to tone up a little bit. I mean, we're getting on the crest of beach season. I know it's tough right now getting through Christmas.
Beach season in
getting
December.
jacked and tan.
we
But
get the
do
Christmas
something
started?
about it with Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster. You know you want to, because as we age, our body loses free testosterone, unfortunately. Our energy drops, our libido falls, and we start to lose muscle. It's not a great combination. But when Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster, it helps you turn back the clock. Basically turns you into Benjamin Button the other way and re-energize your workouts. You need to text CRANE, that's C-R-A-I-N, to 231-231 for a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Text now, and you'll also get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Thermo. Light it up, baby. Ooh. Their most powerful fat incinerator ever. Just put it in the oven and it's gone. Absolutely free. Text CRANE, C-R-A-I-N, to 231-231. That's C-R-A-I-N to 231-231. We got Tom Luginbill coming in, Jimmy Dykes coming in, but right now, David Cohn, are you ready to do this?
Let's do this. Also, Total T sounds like maybe one of the allies David Michigan fights with against replacement Cohn.
Yes.
And against Buckeye Bill.
Total T.
Berry Crunch?
Dude, wait a minute. Guys.
Total T and David Michigan fighting replacement
How did we not
Cohn.
see this? Nugenix Total T Testosterone
Booster.
It's written in the
circle.
stars.
There's a lot of good
It's
synergy.
written
Like a circle.
Booster Club. Maybe it's a present. Wives, ask your husbands. I wouldn't surprise them with this because you maybe send them the wrong message and then you get mad about getting a vacuum for
Santa brought it.
Yeah, Santa brought it. And he ate all the cookies, so your fat ass couldn't.
Whoa.
All right, Cone. It's Wednesday. It's time for one of our favorite segments before we get Lugs in here. Who are you telling to G off your L today?
Any sports contest that ends in a tie needs to get off my lawn. Last Sunday, the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders ended their matchup in a 20-20 tie. This was the second such game in the NFL this season, as the Colts and Texans finished with the same score. As my colleague Jake Crane says, the only suitable place for ties is Joseph A. Bank. And I find that analogy quite fitting, Jake. If you're going to engage in a physical contest of skill for 3 hours, can't you put in a little extra work to earn the victory? How is it that college football players have the fortitude to fight as long as it takes, but professionals making millions of dollars can't be bothered to play more than 10 extra minutes? It took Illinois 9 overtimes to defeat Penn State last season in a game that will never be forgotten. I won't remember the Giants-Commanders tie by the end of this segment. Soccer is the worst culprit. We are only 1 week removed from the World Cup group stage in which 10 of the 48 matches, more than 20%, ended in a draw. Mind you, this is the most prestigious soccer tournament in the world, which is held only once every 4 years. Can't we lay it all on the line twice a decade? Major League Baseball will play 20-plus innings for a W. It took John Isner 3 days, I kid you not, 3 days to win an opening round at Wimbledon. Talk about something to tell your grandkids. The NHL implemented 3-on-3 hockey plus a shootout period, and it is absolutely exhilarating. And no more discounting PK and shootout endings because of luck. If the contest won't extend for a longer period of time, then any form of competition is better than nothing. I'll take captains meeting at midfield for a good old-fashioned game of rock, paper, scissors rather than witness a tie. Some say teams being level after regulation proves both were equal that day and a draw is deserving. I say the standard time allotment is the bare minimum. The purpose of competing until a winner is declared is not some egotistical display of exceptionalism, and it's not to entertain spectators for a longer period of time. The reason we persevere until a victor is crowned is because we know the fight is worth finishing, especially when someone's on your lawn.
Well done.
Yeah, Dave.
Well done.
Am I wrong, boys? We just going to tie?
4 years
done.
to tie?
0-0?
We're going to wait 4 years to tie?
That's my thing with the World Cup. If I'm going to wait 4 years to watch you guys do this, you better not end tied.
I know how we can fix
I don't care if you get the coaches to fight with samurai swords.
Whoa. That would be an ending.
You know what? You know what'd be cool for the World Cup? You know what? What if they did, like, what's that movie? It's like The King or whatever, or back they used to do in the old days when two armies were about to fight. If like the leader of one went to lead the other, was like, you know what?
Pick your
How
warrior.
about me and you?
Yeah.
Me and you just fight.
Pick your
And
warrior.
Jon
the
Snow
winner-
tried to
your
do
warrior.
that.
Yeah.
Jon Snow
Yeah, with
tried to do that
boy.
with Ramsey Bolton.
Oh, boy.
And he said no.
Ramsey's so
He
scared.
said no.
Achilles
Man.
did it.
Achilles,
Yeah.
yes.
Achilles.
With
at the
Hector,
beginning,
right?
Yeah.
Of Troy.
Not with
No.
With that
With the big
monster stab in the back of the
Goliath.
I love it.
Pitches absolutely slayed him. Absolutely slayed him. We're going to get Tom Luginbill in here in a second. Let's get back to the Booster Club.
All right, let's go to Randy Harbaugh. What's up, Randy? $5 donation. He says, except for the big bowls, Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl, etc., all the others have been irrelevant for the past 4 to 5 years.
All the big bowls outside of the
Yes, except for the big bowls. All the other bowls have been
watching
irrelevant
them.
4 to 5 years.
college football.
Well, what's your definition of like relevant? Like, do you want them to be throwing a party in Times Square about the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
It's funny. That's the one I was on.
I'm a big Chick-fil-A bowl.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl is NC State, Maryland. Okay, we can turn our nose up at it.
I can't wait for that.
When it's June and there's no football on, don't be begging for the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
My thing is this. I think it just, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like, I love football, so I'm going to watch it. And, hey, I watched them dump a whole thing of mayonnaise on Shane Beamer last year. But I think it just depends on your level of love for the game. Like, I'm not expecting there to be some, huge party like when Fabius returned from his quest in Your Highness because of, somebody playing in the Match.com, let's get together and hopefully we love each other bowl.
How about this one? The famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Yes, sir.
San Jose State, Eastern
Yes.
Michigan.
Yes, I love it.
Come on.
I'll tell you right now about the game. We'll see. San Jose State got a nice little
Take the under.
quarterback. Eastern Michigan, I've watched them play. Kind of gross, the defense.
Who's the quarterback for Eastern Michigan?
Okay.
Isn't it one a pro player's son? Isn't the quarterback for
No, you're thinking of Miami, Ohio. You're thinking of Little Gabbert, but he's transferring.
I don't know.
The quarterback for Eastern Michigan?
Here's one we can get rid of. We can get rid of the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl.
Yeah,
Get
hate
rid
it.
of Jimmy Kimmel.
Can we get a
Can
Crane and
I
Company
say something
Bowl?
about Jimmy Kimmel real quick?
What'd he do now?
You know what? He's like the worst type of person. Like the hypocrite that's out there in the open. You may not like me. You may not like where I work, but at least you know where I stand. Jimmy Kimmel tries to call people sexist, and I watched him growing up on a show called The Man Show with the Adam Carolla, who they were both funny, and literally going to and from every break, they had women in bikinis jumping on trampolines. And y'all were drinking a beer during the show. Like, you're so fake, dog. Like, I can't stand Chris Cuomo, man. I can't stand him. But I know where he stands. I know where he stands. At least he's always been like this. But Jimmy Kimmel, you're the worst, man. Stephen Colbert, so I'll give you another one. Used to be hilarious on The Daily Show. Used to make fun of people even. Then he sold out. Like, it's fakery, man. But Jimmy Kimmel's the worst. Jimmy Kimmel is the person in Planet Fitness yelling at the fat person to get off the treadmill when he's twice as big as they are.
Oh, no.
Like
Not that guy.
That's who Jimmy Kimmel is.
And now that bowl, Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl is Fresno State, Washington State.
Well, the two teams will probably play different than they have their whole careers. The way it goes with Jimmy Kimmel. But enough about Jimmy Kimmel. That guy sucks. A guy that's not bad, our buddy Tom Luginbill. He's by phone today because rumor has it he also works for the CIA and is not going to tell us at the end of football season. Lugs, I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, it's actually the FBI. It's not the CIA. So
Okay, well,
and now Jake's
let's
dead.
make sure we get our acronyms correct this morning.
That's just what he's telling us.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, exactly. And so I apologize for being a couple minutes late on you guys.
Tom, well, someday down the road, I'll probably find time to forgive you, but right now is not that moment.
Okay, I get it. I understand.
I'm just messing with you, man. Starting out, college football playoff. We talked to Brando about this yesterday. I'm pretty sure you agree with what they came out with after the way we've talked before, I'm guessing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they had no choice, right? I mean, the only question for the committee, and I'm using air quotes here, what they're not supposed to do is set matchups, right? So the only question was going to be, did the committee want to have a rematch between Ohio State and Michigan in the semifinal, or did they want to try to create with the hope that you could have an Ohio State-Michigan national championship, which would have been something that when this thing was formulated, they couldn't even have fathomed would have been an opportunity. Yeah. So the way it laid out was the only way it could lay out. And so the committee got it right. And have you always noticed, guys, that just when it looks, 2 to 3 weeks up until the end of the season, just when it looks like there's going to be some chaos, some controversy, the committee's going to have to answer to an awkward decision or a decision that people disagree with, that it always seems to work out for them.
Yeah. Just when I thought you couldn't get any dumber. You go and do a thing like this.
You totally redeem yourself.
Totally redeem yourself.
Perfect.
Yeah. So what does he say? What did he say? Bought this puppy down the street. This hog gets 40 miles to the gallon.
80 miles.
80 miles to the gallon.
That's why we love
80
you,
miles to the
man.
gallon. Tom, we talked about Deion Sanders getting the Colorado job. What do you think is they got a brutal schedule next year, especially in the back end. What do you think is the high water ceiling mark for Deion Sanders over the next 2 to 3 years at Colorado? And will he be there after 3 years if he has success?
Well, the answer to the question begins and ends with administratively, and this is very important, is Colorado going to lessen their incoming transfer restrictions?
Yeah.
They have some of the most stringent transfer rules of incoming players that is completely limited and almost eliminated their ability to compete in that realm. And if you watch his introductory meeting with the football team, all right, he's going to have a lot of bodies to fill.
Yeah.
Because when you walk into the press conference, you'd say, there's your quarterback. You've essentially said, there's not going to be a quarterback competition here. I don't care what other players are on scholarship here at quarterback. You're going to be left with one quarterback in the room. What are you going to do? So I think there are so many things that are in play here that were never in play at Jackson State. You're going to have politics, academia. You're going to have bureaucracy. You're going to have people that you have to answer to, not just right above you administratively from an athletic director standpoint, but a president, board of regents. How much are they signed on? How much are they willing to go all in to say, okay, Deion, we're going to give you every available resource to get the job done. So at the end of the day, nobody's going to be able to come back and say, well, they wouldn't let me do this and they wouldn't let me do that and they wouldn't let me do that, which has been the problem with everybody that's taken that job since Dan Hawkins first took it. And I used to work with Dan Hawkins on TV after he got fired there. And I'll never forget him telling me when we were discussing that job, I said, Hawk, what was the biggest issue? He said, I didn't ask the right questions in the interview. I should have asked about what are the areas that we can or cannot compete in and find out if those areas are going to change. And if they're going to change, are you going to change them in writing?
Yeah. I would be shocked if Deion didn't get all those T's crossed and I's dotted before he took that job, especially with the equity that he had built up, David.
I've already seen a few things that they're changing. They are changing some of the incoming rules. Tom, we did see a little bit of chaos in the conference championships with TCU and USC both losing. I was telling these guys that would have been the best possible scenario in the BCS system, right? For TCU to finally pick up that one loss. Yeah. So you have a clear number one Georgia, a clear number two Michigan. You go play in the championship. Did create a little bit of chaos for a 4-team playoff. What are your initial thoughts here on the two matchups that we'll see?
Well, let's start with Michigan and TCU. And I would guard people against thinking that TCU is going to be overmatched here. Mm-hmm. If you peel back the layers and you really watch TCU, they got players, man. Those corners that are playing on the perimeter for that team can match up and lock down everybody. They're that talented. And then when the quarterback is what he is for TCU, I mean, Max Duggan if you went down into your basement and had a chemistry set and you said, I'm going to build a quarterback and I don't care about height, weight, arm strength. I'm just going to build a quarterback from the inside out. Who do I want? It would be Max Duggan, right? And I think that when you have that and you have a great defense, you have a team that plays with a chip on their shoulder. This isn't like your normal, we're the team. This isn't like SC going, oh, man, we drew the group of 5 team in Tulane. So now you don't show up and you don't prepare well and you don't focus. Mm-hmm. I think TCU will have Michigan's attention because I just think their play – we know the season they've had, but I think their players are much better. And I got to be honest with you, I think that Michigan will have their hands full offensively. They haven't been a team outside of Ohio State that's exploded with big plays all year long. They've struggled at times in the red area. I think Michigan's really going to have to earn it on offense. And then I'll tell you, everybody's talking about Georgia and Ohio State and how maybe, outside of Alabama not making the playoff, this is the one team that Georgia would have said, oh, man, this is probably not the best matchup for us. I disagree with that. I really do. I know that Ohio State has skill. I get that. But they've also got a stationary quarterback. And when you have a stationary quarterback, Georgia will eat you alive because they don't have to worry about quarterback run. They don't have to worry about chasing the quarterback. So they can play the very foundation of the defense that Nick Saban and Bill Belichick put together 40 years ago. And everything changed in that defense when you played an athletic quarterback. They don't do that with Ohio State. I to be honest with you, I think it's going to be a good game, but I don't think Ohio State matches up as well with Georgia as everybody thinks they do.
Yeah, my biggest question for TCU is TCU's front seven on defense versus Michigan's offensive line when they line up in 11 personnel and 12 personnel. And it's not early. I'm not saying in the first quarter. Hell, I'm not even saying in the second quarter. But I'm talking about overtime. When is that dam going to break? That's kind of what Michigan does. They're like that fighter that doesn't knock you out in the first round. They just take a little bit out of you in the first. They take a little bit out of you in the second. They take a little bit out of you in the third. And in the fourth, they own your ass up
That's
front.
football. Best second half, one of the best second, if not the best second half team in college football. And the one thing, Luz, I want to say, so we'll get your opinion on. I get the whole C.J. Stroud stationary thing with Ohio State and Georgia, but I watched Nussmeier come in for LSU, and he's not a blazing guy on 40 speed come out and have a lot of success just moving well in the pocket, and I think C.J. could do that as well. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he can. Now, Garrett Nussmeier is a little bit more like Max Duggan athletically. He can create, he can extend, and then if he wants to, can take off and run and actually make somebody miss and get a big gainer. To your point, I think if what they're going to have to do is force C.J. Stroud off his mark, but don't open the front door for him, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Get him off platform, but he's not running. He's not going anywhere. You still have him corralled, but now you're testing whether or not, under duress, he can keep his eyes downfield without getting flushed. Yeah. I think that's going to be big for Ohio State offensively.
Tom, the Heisman Trophy, we have the finalists here. Max Duggan is one of them. Caleb Williams, we have C.J. Stroud, and then Stetson Bennett made it as a finalist as well. What are your thoughts?
I can't believe Bijan Robinson's not a finalist. I'm actually stunned.
Who would you replace him with? Probably
Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett's not even the best player on his own team.
Thank you. I said that yesterday. Look, I'm with you.
So,
Luke, I'm with you. I said that yesterday.
Guys, Stetson Bennett is Gino Torretta in 1992. In 1992, Marshall Faulk should have run away with the Heisman Trophy. They gave it to Gino Torretta because he's on the number one team in the country and it's high profile, and I get that. And I love Stetson Bennett, and I love the fact that he's got invited to New York because it finally shows that people are past old, oh, well, he's a walk-on. Not anymore, he's not a walk-on. But again, if you're not the best player on your own team, how can you go to New York? That's my only beef. That's not a knock on Stetson. That's just reality.
Yeah, I mean, look, I said it yesterday. I think the Heisman winner should be the best player on one of the best teams, not the best team. I think we need to make that distinction because those are two different things.
I mean, to be honest, I'm probably giving it to Hendon Hooker before I give it to Stetson Bennett.
I don't think you're crazy.
They could have invited a fifth person, too. I mean, they could have given another finalist
and
spot.
And to me, that's not everybody gets a
Corum.
participation trophy thing. An invite is not a trophy,
no,
like in my opinion. But, Lugs, we appreciate it, my friend. Always great stuff. Do you know what bowl game you're going to call yet?
I do, but it's not public, and I can't say. So, unfortunately, I wish I could tell you.
Yeah.
I know. But I got Capital One Bowl Mania on Sunday night. Me and Dan Mullen and our boy Acho. So we're gonna rank them 1 through 42 of our confidence meter. We're picking winners on all of them. We get to rank 1 through 42. 1 being the lowest level of confidence, 42 being the highest on what our confidence level is of the pick that we have to win the bowl game. So that'll be this coming Sunday night.
Ooh, I'm confident that's going to go good. Hey, we need to get Dan Mullen on the show. Throw a good word in for us.
Oh, glad to. I'll try to get it set up for you.
You're the man, Lugs. Be safe, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Be good, guys.
All right, brothers. Let's go to the Booster Club real quick.
Oh, God, that Stetson Bennett thing was refreshing. Let's go to Dakota Blackburn. What's up, Dakota? Hashtag Ask Crane. Company says, with FSU seemingly back, Dino Babers having Syracuse looking pretty competitive, and Mario at Miami, how does the ACC stack up against the other Power 5 conferences?
Okay, so in order to do this, whenever we play this game, I don't think you can, and again, I don't mean to say that you can't generalize anything. There are some things that you can generalize, but let's take the SEC out of it. If we're going to talk about the ACC and say how they stack up against other conferences, the SEC, as we know, is on another level than the ACC. How does the ACC compare to the Big 12? All right, when I'm looking at a conference and I'm grading how a conference is, a few of the factors, how many elite teams do you have at the top? Not who is the most elite team, how many elite teams do you have at the top? And then obviously, how deep is the conference all the way through? Meaning that if I were to put a middle of the pack team from the Big 12 in the ACC, how would they do? If I were to take the worst team from the Big 12 and play the worst team in the ACC on a neutral field, how would they do? When I looked at the ACC compared to the Big 12 right now, I think the Big 12 has more depth. I think the Big 12 has more depth. I think the Big 12 has an elite team in TCU and the possibility of another one in Texas with the weapons that they have. I know they're losing Texas to another conference, but Clemson in the ACC, you would have to call them elite. They won the conference, but North Carolina, are they elite? No. Is there another elite team? Wake Forest wasn't elite. Miami obviously wasn't elite. Florida State is probably the second best team in that conference right now, I would say.
100%.
At least from this year. I would take the Big 12 over the ACC. When I look at the Pac-12, guys, I think the Pac-12 is deeper than the Big 12. I can't believe I'm going to say that, but when you look at the teams, I mean, look, we saw what USC did. We saw what Oregon was able to do. We saw Utah. There are more teams that scare me in the Pac-12 if I was coaching against them than playing in the Big 12 or the ACC.
It's close, though.
It's close. I'm not saying it's a wide margin.
The Pac-12 really stepped up.
But how long has it been, David, since we've been able to say that the Pac-12 is better than the Big 12 when you combine everything together? Now, the Big 10, to me, that's the most interesting argument. I think they are still the second best conference this year. I would take the Big 10 in perpetuity over the Pac-12. I would still do that. You have two elite teams with Ohio State and Michigan. I mean, Penn State only lost 2 games to Ohio State and Michigan. Now, you can make a depth argument. I think you could make a depth argument against the Big 10 with the Pac-12. But I still think the ACC, David, where would you put the ACC in the Power 5? I'd go SEC, I'd go Big 10, I'd go Pac-12, I'd go Big 12, I'd go ACC.
Okay, right this second for the football seasons they had, or you're talking about, okay.
Right now, snapshot, right now.
So, yes, I think the ACC would have to be last, and I wouldn't put the Big 10 second. I think it comes down to a question of how heavily do you weigh the top teams? The Big 10 got 2 in the college football playoff this year, and that's only been done twice before by the eight.
We can't forget about Illinois. We can't Purdue.
No, for sure. And Maryland's good. No, I get it. I get all that. We, in this question right here, like all of us, we're judging these conferences off the wins and losses they have, specifically on the football field. The athletic directors are judging the success of these conferences with the dollars that come in. So if you're the Big 10 and you're saying, yeah, we added Maryland and we added Rutgers, and that's not going to be a great look during football season, and we'll get made fun of that the worst, the next to worst team in the SEC could beat these teams in the Big 10. But they're saying, we just signed the richest TV contract, and Maryland plays great basketball. They're thinking of it a little bit more holistically. If we're just talking about football, which is what we are in this conversation, then yeah, I think your order is correct, and I would take the Big 10 in perpetuity over some of these conferences where the Big 12 is losing Texas and Oklahoma. But this specific season, when you see the way that a Kansas State stepped up, you see what Utah and the Pac-12 has been able to do recently, Washington, I think there's so much great parity around college football.
I mean, right now, you're the Pac-12, you got 6 teams in the top 20.
Yeah.
And for the Pac-12, we haven't seen that in a while.
All right, like I said, breaking news. Aaron Judge agrees to 9-year, $360 million deal to stay with the New York.
There you go, Blaine. 9-year, $360.
Somebody started a Blankles chat, and Reed texted me, I can't wait to get our Christmas tree on Saturday.
So that's the whole update there. Are y'all going to the Christmas tree farm I talked about?
Yes, before we go to your birthday.
Go over there. They're fans of the show, they said. Yep, Aaron Judge, what are your thoughts, guys?
The Yankees. Well, it's like I said, it's a matter of time. This is me shocked. It's good. It was a good story. I think it was a good story for Major League Baseball to stay in the headlines. I mean, DeGrom going to the Rangers was big. Verlander signing with the Mets. Now Aaron Judge remaining with the Yankees. A lot of those big names are starting to fall pretty quickly here in Major League Baseball as we get ready for next year as they continue to try and grow the sport. Blaine, let's stay in the Booster Club for a question. Then I'm going to head over and do bets before we bring Jimmy Dykes in here to talk some college hoops. I will say this. If you're not subscribed to the channel right now, please go ahead and do it. But go over to the Daily Wire Plus as well and become a member. We're going to get to break in a second. Let's go to Booster Club real quick, Blaine.
Okay, let's go to the Flaming Dragon. Love to see that. All right, #Crane Company says, what is your under-the-radar bowl game this year?
South Carolina, Notre Dame. I know Drew Pine's in the transfer portal. Spencer Rattler's going to play. Will he come back? I think South Carolina was a 4.5-point dog with the way they're playing. I would not want to play South Carolina right now. But Jaheim Bell is in the portal. Again, it's hard for me to sit here and say I'm excited about this game until I realize everybody that's playing in the game.
Yeah.
Like, I got to know who's playing before I get excited.
How about Washington, Texas in the Alamo Bowl?
Ooh.
Didn't Tennessee have Clemson?
Tennessee, Clemson.
In the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what
Imagine Tennessee and Clemson in the
Wow.
Orange Bowl. Some people, rudely, I thought, but maybe rightly, called it the "We Lost to South Carolina Bowl."
And I'm sure
But-
they were South.
You know,
South
I mean,
Carolina.
you're not wrong.
I think they went to South Carolina.
Yeah, that is, look, Spider-Man chips. Sometimes.
No, I'm pumped about the Orange Bowl. I think it's gonna be great.
Vanya?
King's Crown says, what are our thoughts on the Florida State versus the Oklahoma Bowl game?
I think Florida's Jordan Travis is going to run for over 200 yards.
You think so?
Oklahoma can't. They're slow on defense. They're slow at linebacker. They're slow in the secondary. I think FSU is going to run up and down the field. That's not saying that Oklahoma won't score. I just think Florida State may score every time they touch the ball. But before we get Jimmy Dykes in here to talk some college hoops, I'm going to go over to bets real quick, and we're going to go through these because we're not going to have time at the end. I want to make sure we get these in. Yesterday, Texas, you let everybody down. Shocker, it's Texas. Here's what I got. Give me 2 different college basketball bets tonight. 11 and 9. I think we're up 8.5 units. Good start to the
Go,
month.
boys.
Need to start. Keep doing it. Excuse me. Give me Quinnipiac minus 10.5. Going to play Holy Cross. Quinnipiac coming off back-to-back losses for a combined 6 points. Holy Cross, who's not very good, coming off of a win. Actually, I think Quinnipiac may win this one by 20 or more. So give me Quinnipiac minus 10.5 and VCU playing Jacksonville. All right, give me VCU on the money line. This is a 2-pick parlay. VCU and Jacksonville are 2 very similar teams. The way that they run it, Coach Mincy at Jacksonville's done a really good job so far, but I like VCU money line. That's at plus 137. And then Siena going to play Georgetown. Man, Georgetown's been an absolute disaster. Watch Siena play against Florida State. They beat them upside down on the road. They got some witches. They have Haru, the great white ninja who transferred from North Carolina. Excited to watch them play. I'm going to take them plus 6 tonight, going to the Hoyas and Coach Patrick Ewing at minus 110.
All right, boys. Against my better judgment, I took Texas yesterday after I saw them play against Creighton. Against Illinois, they were up 5.
They blew it.
They were up 5 late in the game, like 30
They were better.
left.
Look, I know, hopefully Bruce Pearl doesn't come on here and yell at me, but Texas is better than Illinois.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, but either way, that ruined my parlay last night. So I'm going to go back with another 3-team parlay here. I want Indiana. They're hosting Nebraska. I want Villanova in that parlay to win as well. And then UConn is on the road at Florida with Castleton. Castleton on the floor.
Castleton.
7-footer
Wait a minute,
island, baby.
Castleton went to Nova?
No. I'm talking about Florida, or Indiana is, UConn is on the road at Florida playing against Castleton.
Gotcha.
And I need UConn as my last leg of the parlay.
Gotcha.
And that's minus 115. And then I'm going to take Michigan State straight up money line plus 150, a dog bet as they play Penn State tonight in the Big Ten.
Nice.
I love it. All right, 2-0 yesterday. I'm going to take some NBA bets. All right, give me the Nets money line in the over at 220.5. That's going off at plus 120. They're playing the Hornets. I always feel good about betting against the Hornets, I'm going to be honest. All right, give me the Pels, Grizz, and the Bucks. Parlay 3-team money line plus 110. Hey, let's go chalk tonight. All right, let's just go chalk.
Yep. All right. Baby Cone, he's going to go Indiana and Trace Jackson Davis tonight, minus 13. That's at minus 105. And Purdue with Zach Edey, who is the main character in the new movie Troll on Netflix. He's going to take Purdue minus 20 at home. That's coming off at minus 110. All right. If you want to listen to the rest of the show, head over to the Daily Wire Plus. Become a member. All right, if you want to watch the rest of this, I'm sorry, if you want to listen, stay here. You can check us out also on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with your friends. We have the Boots Club leaderboard and Jimmy Dykes talking some college hoops coming right after this. All right. Appreciate you guys. Make sure if you are on the Daily Wire Plus, we appreciate you. Shout out to the Daily Wire chat. Shout out to the Booster Club as well. Make sure you're following us and subscribed on YouTube. All right. Before we get Jimmy Dykes in here, we want to react, all right, to the 7-foot, 360-pound Big Cozy from St. John Fisher, absolutely splashing a 3. Watch the player at Buffalo laugh all the way down the court after he does it too. Let's go ahead and play the clip. It's time to get cozy with Big Cozy.
who's still on this roster. So this
Look
is
at
a
him.
Fisher
Find
team.
him.
Coach
Whoa.
Find him.
Different.
A lot of talent.
I don't like it. Give it back. I don't like
Right there, he's open.
Oh,
There he is.
Oh, the three.
Oh, it felt splash, baby.
The drive-thru's always open.
Smoother than a
Look at
smoothie on a
No,
Sunday.
don't fix the shirt, dog.
Yeah, let it hang,
Don't
baby.
fix
You want
the
to see
shirt.
it?
Let that belly swing,
7
baby.
foot 360.
7 foot, 360 pounds of Steph magic, baby.
What are you going to do with that in the paint?
Yeah, nothing. Nothing. Look at him right here.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the
In your
focus.
mouth. Combo meal.
Right there. Look at the player from Buffalo. He's laughing. Look at him. The player from Buffalo is laughing. He knows he is about to catch hell for the rest of his life because Big Cozy just absolutely splashed one in from the wing.
I mean, can you imagine seeing that thing coming down the court? Terrifying.
What do you do?
Terrifying.
7 foot,
Can you
365?
imagine taking a charge?
No.
Do you think you just disappear?
Well, I just imagine him like walking around the house, opening the door, and the door just comes off.
I mean, you talk about
You know, like, oh
Just
no,
rips the door
Just
off.
rips the door off.
Don't let him have handles either.
the
then-
rare cross section of 7-footer island and 300-pound peninsula. Like he's got
Who
both,
wins?
man.
Him, Zach Edey.
300
Him, Zach Edey one-on-one.
He's 7 foot 360.
Talking about Florida?
What did you say?
Who wins, him or Zach Edey one-on-one?
Oh, Zach Edey.
I don't know.
I don't know if he can keep up with the big coach.
Oh, if he's shooting like
Big
that,
Cozy
I
gets
don't
on
know.
top of you. Look, Zach Easy's a monster. He's a monster.
Who did he play for? St. Fisher's?
St. John Fisher. I think it was.
Well, at least you don't have to pay for a charter bus. He just picks everybody up and runs
For a
them to
second,
the
I thought
court.
it was Long John Silver.
Yeah, where does he play?
Plays
Golden
at Long
Corral.
John Silver State.
Man,
Talking about an NIL deal.
I want to see him. I want to see him dribble a little bit now.
I want to see if he's got handles.
Yeah.
Because if he's got handles,
It's
then things
over.
start to become different. Like then aliens are real. Like I don't know what
aliens
society's
are real.
more ready for. Aliens are seeing that thing with handles.
Look. At the end of the day, I'm now a St. John Fisher fan. There's also another video, guys. I saw the most clutch, maybe the greatest shot of anything I've ever seen. This disc golf shot. Oh boy, had to have it. We're gonna play this thing.
Is disc golf a sport?
Yes, because you're
Yes.
throwing something.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
Now you can make fun of it.
You can make
Yeah.
fun of it.
That's fair.
Look, anything you can wear the
Darts is a sport.
sandals and play. You know,
Darts is a sport.
Darts.
Darts is getting into game
Yes,
territory.
it is. Darts.
It's a sport. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're throwing something. Like, all right.
All right, another sport that we're going to start jumping into more and more as we get towards the end of football season, which is there really an end of football season? I mean, we're never not going to talk about it. But our buddy Jimmy Dykes, one of the best covering the game, is joining us this morning. Coach, I really appreciate you coming on.
Man, it's a great looking set you guys got. I wish I had something like, we need more like that in where I come from. That's nice.
well, it's funny, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but you know, we've only been doing sports media going on two years now, and when I started the J-Boy show back in the back room of a duplex in Tupelo, Mississippi, the first guest I ever had on was you, my friend. So I wanted to tell you thank you before any of this got big or anything like this, or we went with Cowherd and now we're here. You were the first guest I ever had on for the J-Boy show. I don't know if you remember that, but I'll always be thankful, man. I always will. And I think it speaks to the type man you are because nobody knew anything about me and you returned an email and said you'd come on. So before we get rolling, I want to tell you I really appreciate that.
Well, all that was a lesson in how to overcome adversity. Having a guy like me on first, if you can handle me, you can handle anybody.
Well, look, that's why I did it. I coached for a while, too. I wanted to put you can always start hard and get easier. You can never start easy
right.
and get harder. But, Coach, I want to go ahead and jump in here because the season is in full swing. We're getting some kind of DNA and identity of some teams. But I'd be remiss if I didn't come out and ask you about North Carolina, a team that made the finals last year, returns a lot, obviously, with Caleb Love and Leaky Black and Armando Baycott and Coach Hubert Davis. And I know it's still early in the season. You want to be playing your best ball at the end. But if you're a North Carolina Tar Heel fan right now, are you kind of hitting the panic button a little bit?
Well, that fan base will. You know, they expect to win national championships, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you're playing the game to win. The issues they have right now are the same issues that a year ago in late January, we weren't even sure North Carolina was going to make the NCAA tournament. Yeah. Then they got hot at the right time, and those two guards started making a lot of shots, and all of a sudden they're in the title game. But they are not moving the ball. I think the last time I looked, they still have more turnovers than assists, way too much one-on-one play. I don't see a fight defensively. But there's still, we got to remember this is I don't know what day it is. I think I'm in Gainesville, Florida. I got a game tonight, but it's early December, and there's still way, way too many games, days left, circumstances that can change to throw the talent on a team. But they have dug themselves a hole. When you talk about, I believe they're the first preseason number 1 team to lose 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
I think I read that earlier this week. So they have some issues, but they do have talent. You mentioned R.J. Davis, Caleb Love, Leaky Black, Armando Bacot. That's not the issue. The issue is they're not playing well together at all.
Yeah, and like you said, there's a lot of time to turn it around. I do want to move to the state of Alabama. You look at Auburn and Alabama right now, 2 teams ranked in the top 15. Alabama's lone loss coming to a great UConn team, which, by the way, that Sonogo-Castleton matchup, we were just talking about it a second ago. That is much-watched college basketball for those 2 guys down low tonight in that game. But when you look at Auburn and Alabama, obviously Brandon Miller at Alabama is something I don't think they've had there for the Crimson Tide in a while with the way he's able to move the ball. I love the Paul George comp. Auburn's young, but they have talent. How do you grade those 2 teams so far?
Yeah, I mean, look at Auburn. They're one of the unbeatens that we have left. I think it's 10 teams left, right? Yeah. They're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, the strength of schedule has been okay. Hasn't been crazy like UConn. They've played a ridiculous schedule, and they're still without a loss. But I think we all know Auburn's season is going to be dictated by their guard play.
Yeah.
And I always say it, just because you're older doesn't mean you're better. Like, are you actually better at manufacturing a game and making game decisions and shot selection and understanding time, score, momentum, all those things that haunted that Auburn fan base last year with their guard play. So I'm anxious to see how much better they are in that area. I think I had their first conference game against Florida right there after Christmas. Will be my first time to really dive in on Auburn. All the way, I've watched them several times this year. And Alabama's, they got some crazy talent again. You mentioned the Brandon Miller kid. He's as good as any freshman we have in the country. We have some really good ones. Arkansas's got a terrific one in Nick Smith. Kentucky's got one in the league as well with Cason Wallace. But those 2 teams are so well coached. What I love about both of them is they know who they are, they know how they play, and they believe 1,000% that how they play the game is how you're supposed to play it. And not every team can say that in college ball this early. They're still trying to figure out who they are. Auburn and Alabama, they know who they are because their coaches believe in how they coach the game. So they'll be right there in the thick of that SEC race. I think Tennessee is the best team right now that the SEC has. I was in Atlantis when they won the Battle for Atlantis, and there's not very many weaknesses on that Tennessee squad right now. Then after that, Kentucky, Arkansas, Alabama, Auburn. There's a mix of them right there for 2 through 5 or 6, however you want to shake it out.
Yeah, when it comes to Tennessee, I'm just waiting on when Vescovi's going to fight Bruce Willis in the next Die Hard movie.
But I had him in my bracket last year. Coach, Gonzaga, preseason number 2. They sit here 6-3 right now after falling to Texas, Purdue, and Baylor. They got another big one on Saturday. They're going to play Coach Oates and the Alabama Crimson Tide that Jake was just talking about. What do you think the ceiling is for Coach Few and this Gonzaga Bulldogs team?
Well, it's hard to say because they don't have when I had their game against Kentucky right before Thanksgiving, Kentucky at Gonzaga. And it's the first time I've walked into Gonzaga practice over the years, and it hasn't been an obvious, that's a first-round pick, and there's a first-round pick. So their talent is not what we have seen in the past from Gonzaga. Drew Timme is still a fantastic player, and he can cause you all kinds of problems just because of how good he is and how it makes your defense have to adjust to his game. But outside of him, you're really not sure where that next pro is. Julian Strother probably is going to be a pro, but he's just not a guaranteed guy. And so I think the talent level has dropped off a little bit for Gonzaga. And they've been so skilled in the past. They're still really, really good. And I think their record's 5-3, 6-3, whatever, but they've played a ridiculous schedule as well. But regardless, they're going to be very difficult to handle because Mark Few is one of the top 5 or 6 coaches we have in the game right now. And they have a belief and a competitive fire about him that I don't think very few people realize Gonzaga, how competitive they are. We see Timme with all the mustaches and all the signs after he scores, but it feeds that entire team. They are not easy to put away. So what is their ceiling? I don't know. In the past, we thought they were a number 1 seed and can win it all. This year, I don't think we look at them like that. But they're still good enough to get to the Final Four.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Jimmy, we're really excited about this Saturday matchup between Houston and Alabama, 2 great teams. What does Alabama have to do to win this game against Houston, who's just extremely good on both sides of the ball?
Well, I don't know if Houston's great on the offensive side of the ball. That's my question for them is, can they score enough to win 6 games in a row in March? Because defensively, there's not a better defensive team in the country than Houston, and Alabama's going to see that quickly. They are angry when they guard the ball. They're violent when they get on the backboards. They have a huge accountability factor built into their man-to-man defense, and there's not a tougher team physically, mentally, than the Houston Cougars. That's going to be a whole nother experience for Alabama. And I did the game last year in Coleman. It was a phenomenal game. And Alabama fought with all they had and won the game. A controversial play at the end that I think the officials got right. But they have to realize how hard you have to fight against Houston to win that game. Houston offensively, I've watched them a couple of times, and they can get in a game where they don't shoot the ball great, but they just find a way to win with loose balls, second chance points, hustle points, all those things. So that'll be a fantastic game and a fantastic challenge. I've got Kansas at Missouri that same day, right before us at the Houston-Alabama game. So I'll have my eyes on it. But the good thing about this week is we've got a lot of meaningful games. You mentioned my game tonight, UConn at Florida. UConn's as good as anybody in the country. They're no joke. They may not win tonight, but I could argue why they should be number 1. They're that good.
Yeah, I've watched UConn play multiple times, the only team to beat Alabama. We're here with college basketball analyst for ESPN, Jimmy Dykes, also author of The Film Doesn't Lie, fantastic book, and the host of the Coach Me Up podcast. Coach, I got one more question for you before we let you ride. I know you got a big one tonight to get ready for UConn and Florida, as you mentioned. I'm very excited about the flop rule this year. I like the change to the rule where there are actual consequences if you do it the first time. What are your thoughts on it? Because I've liked it so far, but I've seen mixed reviews from people.
Yeah, well, I've been calling for that for a couple of years. Like, why are we still giving warnings? At some point, you don't keep putting your kid in timeout. Like, you got to let's get this behavior corrected right now. There's ways to do that. So I'm all in favor of the immediate penalty. I'm in favor of making it a personal foul myself, because now you start getting players' attention. The officials, the officials don't make the rules, guys. The officials officiate the rules that are given to them, and people pile on the officials, and I'm not at all one of those guys that does that. They make good calls and they miss calls. We all do. But I think those flop plays, which obviously what it is, you're trying to fake the official that you got fouled. And that's what the rules committee is very determined to get out of the game. And I'm all for it. I like the change. I know there's been people weigh in on one side or the other. The rule has not changed. The immediate free throw penalty is what has changed this year.
Yep. And that's the part I like, because there actually is consequences like you talked. All right, Coach, what time is the game tonight? What time does it tip off between the Gators and the Huskies?
It's 9:00 Eastern on, I think it's on ESPN2.
There we go.
It's either on ESPN or ESPN2 at 9:00 Eastern.
Well, I'll be watching it. We got a little skin in the game as well. I appreciate it, Coach. Really good to have you back. Like I said, appreciate you in the beginning and appreciate you now. Would love to have you later on in the year.
Hey, before I go, the way I'm seeing myself on this broadcast right now, I can see the top half of me, and then the bottom half of me is the guy on the right with the gray skinny jeans, no socks, and black shoes. That's a really good look for me.
Right there. There it is. We're right there. Yes.
Hey, these have a name. This is Cone's High Water Pants.
Yeah, Cone's High Water Pants right now. He automatically wears capris everywhere, basically. That's what it
I like
into.
that. I'm going to go with that today. That looks good on both of us.
Yeah, look, rock and roll. Now we're complete. All right, in the show. We're going. Bye. Now, Coach Dykes, I really appreciate it. Good luck tonight.
See you guys.
See ya.
All right. Always excited to get Coach on. He does
Coach
a great
on
job.
Cone's High Water Pants.
Give a shout out to Cone's High Water Pants. That's how you earn respect real quick on these streets.
Also, to clarify, Gonzaga, Alabama, next Saturday.
Yes,
December 17th. Houston this Saturday.
This Saturday. Yep. All right, Booster Club real quick, then to the poll, then we're gone.
Let's go to the poll.
Okay.
All right. Will Colorado win more than 5 games this year?
Next season.
Yeah, next season coming up. Yeah,
next season. 5 more than 5.
More than 5.
That's
yes,
6.
67%. Go ahead and say 66, David. Go ahead and do it.
No.
Smelling on you.
No,
I'm not saying no. I'm saying they said no.
You're saying no. He declined.
You're saying they said no.
Yeah.
He did decline.
Okay, so yes, 73%.
Wow, lot of faith.
Finally won one.
Wow.
Feels good.
So that's bowling. He's going bowling, boys.
Booster Club leaderboard, guys. I don't know if anybody's going to make the Hall of Fame again. Cody Nason's 4-0. Quadruple J, Triple B, 2345's 3-0. BJPS 09XU13. Neftink, Cones, High Water Pants, Revco 250 are all 2-0. EJ Runis, Hugh G3, Texas Ed, and Sasha's Booster Club are all 1-0. Make sure you fill that out. And if you want to drop a meme underneath it and drop your bets underneath it without even filling out the form, I'm cool with that too. All right, Blaine.
All right, let's go to Ross Bryan, hashtag Ask Jake. What do you think of Florida has to do to become a powerhouse / big name in the SEC? Do you think Billy Boy can get the job done?
I think he can. I think you got to, again, that was year 1 for Billy Napier. I think you got to give Billy time, let him keep implementing his system, implementing his culture. We know the type players that go play at Florida, even in the bad times, they're talented. I think Billy's going to be fine. Don't hit the panic button yet. Go look at some records of really dominant coaches in their first years when they've taken over places that were in a bad state. Not that Florida was in the worst off state that any place has ever been in, but the roster wasn't as aplenty as it will be with Billy Napier. You got to give him time. But it's time for us to go. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow us on all social medias. Blaine, what's up?
Shout out real quick. Scott Burry says, good morning, gentlemen. Nothing better than listening to Crane & Company in between deliveries. You kick those deliveries ass, big dog.
Yes, that's right. You keep
Thank you,
delivering,
Scott.
and we will too. And like the chances of there not being good college basketball on tonight, we're gone.